drawing more trees, never-ending trees. I'm getting also recorded by somebody else in my abode who's filming a cat and me. All right, stop talking, Eric. You're being stupid. Trees, a tree a day, a square a day, 1 by 1 in square until I finish, which the end is in sight, kinda, in like 20 more days. But, you know, a little bit of progress every day, and in no time we'll be there. So here's what I'm going for today. I got my reference image up. This is the square here, which is, let me turn this light off. The part we're working on today, there's no definitive trees in there. So it's just all texture building, which, you know, it's not as probably exciting to watch because you won't really see any trees form. We're just gonna see the texture being built. But that's the way it goes. So we got a 2H pencil here. We're gonna start off by layering that in. Hello people, thanks for watching. And so let's just start building this texture. This left side is a little more shaded. Bold cotton knitting, amazing work. Thanks for watching Bold Cotton Knitting. Good to see you on the live. All right, so we're just texture building here. And we'll get progressively darker with our values. Same old spiel that I've been talking about every day. Bloody, bloody, bloody. And Bob's your uncle. Hey, quiet on the set. I'm rolling in here. I'm rolling live. I got 2 viewers, and I think I know who they are. So just making my little marks and dots, going in the direction of these trees. Let me zoom out a little bit so people just joining can check it out, and then I'll zoom in as we get further. Or I'll zoom in as I get further. But yeah, so in this little 1 by 1 in square I'm doing today, there's no definitive tree shape, so it's really just building texture all day today. And as I've been saying, I don't really mind if my drawing matches my reference image exactly. I'm really just using it for inspiration and shape, but you know, I am sort of staying in line with it. So I'm having some little trouble here. I like when the mechanical pencil actually dulls a little bit, because then it sort of blurs my layering together. So just trying to rotate it to get to that slightly dulled side. But thanks for watching on Labor Day, if you're in the US and you celebrate Labor Day. Well, everybody celebrates Labor Day, I suppose. So yeah, we're gonna start 2H, then an HB, then 2B, layer, 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 build contrast, build texture, trees, trees, trees. But let me show you, I'll show you what I'm just looking at as my reference and inspiration here. This is a little hard to see here, but let me show you. So you can see the red line here. This is the little reference grid. That's the square I'm working on. Let me show you the full thing here. This is a photo from Mount Rainier. So that's the photo, and the mountain I'm trying to get, you know, directly in scale and in proportion and exact. And the trees, I'm more just going for, 50% kind of in line with it. But as I've been saying, so today we're really just building texture. There's not a lot of definitive tree shape in there. Let me adjust this back. One moment, please. Okay, there we go. So just making little marks, little dots, lifting up my pencil often. And it's just that slow texture building process. And it's really just controlled scribbling. If we get a lot of comments saying, wow, it's, incredible and all that, but it's really just scribbling. And the real trick is the patience part, and not trying to rush or finish huge chunks of it at one time. Just focusing on, I like to focus on just a small little area, a little 1x1 inch square. That's kind of like a daily goal I set, and just really focus in on the quality of that square. If I try to do a huge chunk, I start giving up on details, and at this point, I don't want to slack off after all this effort. When you finish this, are you going to clear coat it with something like Krylon? No, I just try to get it behind airtight glass relatively quickly. I don't like to spray stuff, and same with paintings. I don't like to spray stuff on it. First, I get nervous that it will just smear it in some way, but also like the long-term effects. I don't like to spray anything on top of it. So I have a few other really detailed drawings like this that I just get behind glass as soon as I can, and they've held up. And I think for those, I didn't do like the super high-end glass. I think just UV protected glass. I think I did. But that's the same. Yeah, I do the same thing with my paintings, where I don't like to spray them, because it's like it's like my mom used to scrapbook, and then like years later, it turned out all the glue she was using was bad, and it wrecked everything, and I'm too nervous about that. So when I put this drawing away, I leave the drawing pad open. I leave nothing on top of it, obviously, because if I were to, everything would smear pretty easily. So I just try to be as careful as I can. So this little square here is just full of trees that all are running together. So we're not going to get anything super definitive like we do down here in terms of shape. It's kind of just a lesson in texture today through our layering of our three values, 2H, HB, 2B. But we'll still shape them up a little bit as we add in the 2B in the final step. I'm excited to get through these trees though, because I bet people are tired of these trees. So I got to go up to here, and then this row, and obviously these two squares, and then I'll be all done with these trees, and I'll probably avoid drawing trees for a while. This is a relatively easy little chunk to draw because it's, again, there's nothing super definitive, but with it being full of the texture really tires out your hand. Because I am just trying to make sort of as small little dots and lines as possible. If there's people who are just getting into drawing or looking for specific tutorials, drop a comment just about on any video or drop one here. See if I can work it in. Summer's been pretty busy, but fall and winter, I normally have more time to focus in on those type of videos. I've been kind of slacking on that. But when it's nice out, I want to go outside. So that just looks like complete scribbling. But now with our, well, I should say that is complete scribbling. But now with our 2A or 2B, I can go in and hone a little bit of shape, start developing sort of the final step in this tree texture here. And then maybe do a little bit of erasing, as I've been showing, to put a little bit of texture back in. There's one little tree trunk that I might get back in there, which I like. But I like to use my erasers kind of as an extension of my pencils. I'm not erasing because there's a mistake, I'm just erasing because to enhance a little bit, in particular of the contrast and texture of a few little spots. So I'm just putting in sort of my deeper shadows here. And as mentioned, there isn't really any definitive trees here. These are just, must be like a handful of trees or more running together. Which can actually end up being a little bit trickier because your brain, at least for me, keeps telling me I should form trees out of them. But in order to keep that realism, you know, I want it to be random. So here's the, let me see if I can get a good angle. This is the little section I'm drawing. You can see there's not really any, you don't see any definitive trees like we did yesterday. I have that definitive tree. There's some more right there. There's a little one. But today it's all just texture. But I keep wanting to form trees just because, that is what kind of informs the viewer what they're looking at. But random is good, so I want to make sure I want to keep it a natural look and feel and not just a bunch of perfectly formed trees everywhere. So I'm just keeping my marks really small, as we have been every day. So the sun is hitting from the right here, right going to left. So these trees on the right hand side here are got a little bit lighter, a little bit more sunlight, a little lighter values coming in. And over here is where these are shading the trees over there. So it's a little darker on the left side today. I just bought some graphite water pencils to experiment with. I was wondering if you've ever tried them. I haven't tried them. I think I saw a little video on them. It looked really interesting. So they're kind of easier to blend, right? Those are or maybe I'm thinking of, I can't remember. Maybe it's graphite putty. When you get it though, let me know what you think, if it's something worth experimenting with. Okay, so that's just a lot of our tree texture in there, which, let me see. Up top here, a few trees form out of this, it looks like. So there's one right here, and then there's kind of another one up here. So some of these are going to kind of take their shape as we proceed up. But really, that's about the gist of of this square. Just want to add a little bit of my random texture in, doing the old eraser with textures situation. This is some sandpaper. I understand they're easier to blend and they can be erased. Yeah, I think that's what I remember about them. Something that'd be really, get a really smooth blend out, or that watercolor effect with graphite. It would be pretty cool to play around with. But yeah, let me know how they turn out. Maybe I'll have to try them. You can see I'm using for like sky and clouds. It could really help. So I'm just adding, like I've mentioned, I roughed it up on the sandpaper, and since I have a little roughed up edge, it erases a little unevenly, and it also smudges and blends things together really subtly. And since these are all just trees coming together here, I'm just kind of playing around so it doesn't look I feel like it looks too drawn on right now. Boy, it's really contrasty on my phone. There's a lot more subtlety from what I see as compared to the phone. I wonder if maybe that's a little better, but it appears on the video a little more contrasty than it is in real life. In the real life, there's a lot more slight values and gradients in here, but there's one little tree trunk right here that I'm going to put in with my electric eraser. Looks like there's a tree, one of these trees that comes up right here. I also like to get these in squares like this where there's not a lot of definitive shape, because it just adds, let me make it a little bigger actually. Just gives that little hint, kind of like this one. A little hint of something recognizable in the forest. And then we just clean it up a little bit. And it breaks up the texture. Yeah, so that tree comes up here, I think. But yeah, I think that's about it. As mentioned, this one is kind of just there's no definitive trees in here. So that's the one, this is the square I just did. So I accentuated the trunk a little bit. Let's see, I'll let you know, it's the resolution. Yeah. At some point I'll probably work on getting a better live setup. But everything right now is just kind of, how can I set it up as quickly as possible with work and with taking care of house duties. Hard to invest in a setup when so far you've paid $0 on the channel. But that's another problem. But this works for now. All right, yeah, so tomorrow we'll continue on this square and define some of the tops of these trees. But that was just more of a lesson in texture building today. Or elongated example of it. All right, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow if you're interested. Continuing on trees and going up. Well, let me just show the whole thing for people who are just hanging on. Ooh. So here's some of these tree trunks that I like to get in, right? So there you get a little more of the definitive tree shape. but I like just those little details of those sticking out. And here's the one we just did, a little more subtle. You see a few of them here and there. All right, we will see you tomorrow. Good day to you.